Hey guys, welcome to this brand new video. I am really excited to share this one with you today. I start this video out down by the shores of Lake Erie. I am not dressed for the cold weather in this video. Actually, I was thinking that I would do this video from the car, so I'm just wearing kind of a light jacket, but when I got down there, it really wasn't that cold, so I decided to do the video from down there. Getting down there, I realized I didn't have white. It was awesome. So anyway, so what I did is I did sort of a tonal study in this video down by the water, and I came back to my studio here to just finish it up. And this is the finished painting, so you will get to see me come back then to the studio here and finish it. All right, you guys, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe and like it, and I always appreciate your comments. And I wanted to throw this out there too. If you guys have specific videos that I do that you really enjoy seeing, whether it's portraits or landscapes, still lifes, drawing, watercolors, I would love to hear your comments below. So if there is something in particular that you really want to see me kind of digress and really get into, I would love to hear your comments and push that. I do have a lot of workshops going on this summer, and I am excited to open those up to you guys. Some of them are full and some are not. Go to my website, jessicahenryfineart.com, and if you want more information on those workshops. All right, you guys, that is it. I'm going to jump into this video. So let's go down by the shores of Lake Erie. All right. Hey guys, Jessica Henry here. I am standing on the shores of Lake Erie here in Ohio, and it is a little bit cold this morning. I really wasn't planning on doing a plein air from the great outdoors. I actually was planning on plein air painting from the car and show you how to do that. But it actually is not that cold, even though it looks like I'm standing in Alaska. All right, so what I want to show you today, I'm going to paint some of this scene behind me. I just brought a little canvas today, and I just wanted to show you some of that. But I just thought it was just sort of majestic with these dripping, frozen creatures along these cliffs. And we've had some pretty cold weather lately, so I think it's created some really interesting effects. So I'm going to get set up here, and I wanted to show you how I do that. All right, so what I have is I start out with just my basic tripod, and I'm going to open it up. Now I am standing on some rocks here. This is all just a rocky shoreline. So if I, like disappear and you hear a lot of screaming and tumbling, it's because I went over backwards. Let's hope it doesn't happen. All right, so I have my tripod here. I'm just going to open it up. Now what I love about these is you can adjust the legs for, standing on rocks. All right, so just open it up, and we'll see. I have a backpack down here with just some basic essentials today. I really didn't bring a whole lot, and I will show you how I do that. So, make it out of the scene a little bit, but you'll get the idea. And if I sniffle a little bit, it's because the cold is catching up, so I apologize for that. It's not necessary that you directly face the scene that you want to paint, so you kind of just have to adjust what it is you're doing to look over one way or the other to see what you have to do. So in my backpack here, I have my Open M box, okay, and it has the attachment here that fits onto the tripod. So I'll just open that up, put it in place, open this up. And if you know you're going to be outdoors and it may be an unpleasant situation, you can have your palette all ready to go prior to getting here. So, and then I have my Raymar wet panel carrier. Okay, so this is this heavy corrugated plastic cardboard, and inside there are grooved slots to fit your wet painting. And I just brought a canvas. I just toned it before I left. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to choose an undertone color that is completely contrasting to the scene that I'm going to be doing. So we'll play with that and see what happens. And then these just fit in here, and there's two little prongs on the carrier box here. So I'm just going to open these up on the back. There's some wing nuts back here. I have a roll of paper towels, and I have a bungee cord. So this thing, I just string up inside like that, and I attach it to the legs of my tripod down below, right down there. All right, now in this bag, I have just my essentials, things that might leak or get all over my backpack, so I put them in a bag. This is my little canister of odorless mineral spirits. Open the lid. Inside is a little basket thing where I rub my brush off on, and I hang this up right on the little screw there. Tighten that down. There is a... So I have an extension here for my palette. Slide that in place. And then I have my palette cup with the linseed oil, so I'm only going to open up the one that I need. When it's really cold, a little bit of linseed oil is a good idea. Just kind of keeps the paint loose. I'm not going to put all my colors out today that I'll need. I'm just going to do sort of a tonal study, and I will rub away off of the canvas here to reveal white. So it'll be more like almost like a pencil sketch. And I'm just putting out some basic colors. I'm not going to use them all. I've got yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and ultramarine blue. There we go. Then in this canister, I have my brushes. So it's a PVC pipe. You can order these through Artbox and Panel, and there's a little keyhole right here. So I hang that right up on a screw that is hanging off the edge of my paint box. All right, so grabbing a paper towel, I'm gonna jump in and get going on this. All right, well, keeping this really simple today, I'm just gonna grab a smaller size 2 flat, getting my paper towel here, a little bit of Gamsol. Now you won't be able to see what I'm doing on my palette, but that's okay because I'm just mixing up a little bit of sienna and ultramarine blue. So looking at my scene over here, what I really was responding to was this feeling of cold and the wind coming up and all that. So I want to kind of start out with just a sketch. And normally I would be doing a thumbnail sketch, but this is my thumbnail sketch, so. I love how the recession goes all the way back. This, and we've got the trees that are sort of creating this interesting contour up here. And then the reflection as it comes down into the water here is really pretty. So we're going to play with some of the sheets of ice as they're coming up in through here. Okay, so I've got this value progression going back. There's a house up in here. I might get that too. We'll see. All right, when I'm satisfied with the overall design, oh, this is an 8" by 8" square. And I just toned it with a little bit of cad red, cad yellow, and some sienna, burnt sienna. Okay, so when I'm satisfied with that, I'm making this value right in here on this cliff my darkest dark. So if that's my darkest dark, then everything else has to relate to that. So I'm just going to fill this with an overall value mass, and I can come back into that with variations and so forth as I need to. Allowing a little bit of texture to show through. Okay, so this is my darkest dark. So now I'm gonna move back. And let's see what I've got back here. If I squint down at the seam, I don't want to make this that dark. I do want to have some difference. And then it just kind of goes right up into the trees right here. This is just a tree mass. Just try. All right. Now I'm going to take just, this is a size 6. It's actually a filbert. And I'm going to rub out what I want to be lighter. It's essentially like erasing. And I'm gauging again what are going to be my whitest whites on here, and where I want those to sort of live in here. Thinking about these sheets of ice down here, making those really intense, and this less intense as that goes back. Okay. So grabbing just a little bit of blue and yellow ochre, I'm going to put in some of the green areas where I see it. And I know that some of this orangey tone is showing through, and I like that because it gives it a little bit of warmth up here. Squinting down at my scene, I'm only putting this where I see these darker reflections in the water. Cleaning my brush off. Just going to grab a really thin layer of blue. Going to just sort of glaze it down here. By that I mean it's just a really super thin layer of blue. got my paper towel here and I'm constantly wiping my brush off to gauge how much color and thinner I want in my bristles. So I can sort of gauge that. Looking further back, I see a lot more white back there. And I'm just going to use the white of my canvas, wiping my brush off, and it pulls some out. You can take a paper towel and roll it up in a little ball or a little point to pull out a little bit more, kind of more detail that way. Might even just take it into the sky. Right up there. So taking my really stiff little brush here and rubbing out some of the paint to make it look like the snow and ice on the edge of this cliff. Kind of gives it an interesting texture and look. Get a little bit of thinner on there, wipe it off. And then I will put in some of these floating pieces of ice, just like this. Okay, so when I feel that I have my light masses in place, I'm gonna go ahead now and come back through and just darken the drawing areas where I feel that I need to have just a tighter, more clear drawing in place. that is as far as I'm going to take this one today, and I hope that this has been helpful and kind of fun and interesting, and how to do plein air without white when it's really cold. All right. Hi everybody, I am back in my studio, and I just wanted to touch up a little bit of this painting that I had done, this plein air, with some white and some other colors. So I have the image that I was painting just on my little laptop here, and I've got the painting and have my palette right here. So I'm going to jump in and show you just some ways that you can take your plein air study back to the studio and just touch it up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of white here and just the smallest amount of blue, a little bit of linseed oil. I'm going to start from the background and work my way to the foreground. So just taking a little bit of this and just thinly scumbling. I don't want to lose this really cool rubbed out effect, but I do want to incorporate a little bit of white in here just to get some atmosphere. Use this brush. And sort of blend that in and get that more of that feeling of distance. Back here. Taking a little bit more, and again, just laying the brush on the side, kind of scumbling a little bit like that. Get some of that color in there, that very gray feeling. As you probably noticed, it was a very gray day down there by the water, and it took me a while today to warm up. I got back in the car and I spent about half an hour just feeling the warmth. Yeah, it got cold, and I wasn't really dressed for plein air painting. I thought that I was going to do a plein car painting, so yeah, highly advisable to make sure that you dress appropriately. But I feel that this was a fun exercise, and you know, where there's a will, there's a way. You can just make it happen. Okay, so that is just, you can see it's the slightest shift in from white to gray to back to sort of a grayish white. And just put a little bit of that in the trees over here. And I don't want to lose that spontaneity that I got in these trees and some of this foliage back here. So I want to keep that feeling. Okay. So now I'm going to mix up just a little bit lighter gray, just taking some sienna and blue and some white. And if you mix it in pretty equal proportions, you can get a nice gray like that. A little bit of oil to thin it down, just a touch. It doesn't need very much at all. And test it. I always just do a little bit of test first, and I see that I'd like that a little bit lighter, so I add just a touch of white. Where these trees meet the sky back here, it's almost an imperceptible separation. So I'm just going to bring the sky a little bit closer in value to the land, because that'll really give it a feeling of going way back there. And where these trees are connecting with the sky, I want it very, very soft, that separation there. And then same over here where this tree is meeting this sky. Just going to give that a little definition there. And one thing to note too about this is that you can really create beautiful studies with just a very limited palette. You don't need a whole bunch of colors and, you know, everything from your studio. Just go out and, you know, make some color notes and value notes. This one was pretty much all about values. And enjoy the time. Enjoy the peaceful, quiet. Of course, in this one, I had a lot of wildlife keeping me company, as I'm sure you noticed in the video. It's pretty loud. All right, just let that kind of just fade back into nothing. So I'm just turning my brush on the side a little bit just to get some of that chiseled point on there. Create some of these layers in the water like this so that it sort of has that sense of the floating icebergs in there. Touch a yellow ochre to warm that up, the white, and it sort of creates the color of these floating pieces of ice. Take some cleaner pieces. All right, we've got some of these pieces in here where these cliff banks have this really magnificent sort of frozen, dripping look in here. And I'll pull out a little bit brighter pieces of snow and ice. Way back in here too. Now, I don't want to get it too detailed back there because then it will kind of kill the effect of this cold illusion. So to really capture that character of this, you have to sort of take note, if I add all this detail, that I can see how cold and how far away and foggy will that appear. So you're just making those decisions to refrain yourself from putting in everything you see will create that illusion. Now the brightest whites in this painting are right up in this area where these big sheets of snow are coming right up against this cliff. So I want to keep my brush strokes in a nice sort of horizontal effect here, like this. And also keep that sort of the focal point here by making it be the brightest area. But you can layer it with some grays too. Too much yellow ochre. But I don't want to lose all that yellow ochre, so I'll just gently go over it a little bit. And down pieces like that. Just keeping that really simple. Now before I go too much further, I want to get some more of the water in place too in here. So that is just really simple, white with some blue, a little bit of sienna to tone it down, maybe some ochre. It's just a very subtle contrast between the water and the snow. More white in there. got these pieces coming down in here, creating that look of wet ripples, waters in here. I'm thinking about the intensity of this water shine and how it's brighter right in here, because we have the sky up here that's creating that reflection in the water. So let's just make this a little bit brighter up in here too. And then coming down into here, there's that movement then. So it gradually gets a little bit darker over here, just a little. Okay, and then over here we have this really beautiful darker reflection. So I'm gonna clean my brush off. I want more of that white out of my bristles. And I will go into the ultramarine blue and some yellow ochre, just like I did when I was out plein airing. And I'll add just a touch of white to it, right in here. And then as this water reflection got closer to me, I remember in this area here, it had more of the yellow ochre. You could see the rocks and things underneath the surface of the water. So I'm gonna let that just get a little bit lighter and let some of that underpainting of this toned canvas sort of show through. Sienna and ultramarine blue. Coming back over here, I want this to be a little darker toward the edge of the canvas. Now, I have this darker platform, and I'm going to sort of carve out some more of these ice pieces in here. So just taking the edge of my brush, putting it on the side like this, I can identify where some of those are. Now I'm going to come back through here and pop in some more of these pieces of snowy ice, floating ice in here. One more white, and just mixing that right into the blue and brown mixture. Commit, lay it down. Don't get fussy with it. Now there's a little bit of that reflection down in the water too, so we'll give that a sense of that space down there. All right, and then I'm going to work on this cliff a little bit too, because that has some of this reflection down in the water as well. First I need to get some more of this . Okay. All right. So the top of the cliff had this really pretty yellow ochre, a little bit of white, sienna, kind of dry dead grass stuff up here. Over on this one, there's just a little bit more light hitting it, so we'll give that a little bit more light hitting that. So down over here again, it's just this dry dead grass kind of comes up. And then as it comes down, I'm adding a little bit more sienna into that grassy mixture. As it goes down into shadow, I'm mixing a little more sienna and blue into that. And down along the bank here, there's just a little bit. Some of it over here. All right, let's hit some of these darker accents with some ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. That'll give me some of that nice dark values that I laid in the very beginning. Just kind of put some of that into the water down here. Oops, I got white. Okay. Now I'm cleaning my brush off. I'm going to get some of that snow, water, frozen ice, whatever that is down there. A little bit more white. I'll just take it right into this mixture that I have on my palette. Going with the darker shade of that first, and then I'll pop in highlights at the very end. I just want to get some of these pieces of sort of crusty snow on here. And I'm just sort of turning my brush and allowing it to sort of skitter along the edge of this cliff. Scooping up a little bit more of the white, and laying that on a little thicker in there. All right, now I'm going to come down and put that reflection a little bit in the water. Every reflection is always going to be a little bit darker than what's up above it. So I'm just added a little bit of the darker gray mixture to this, just where I see them. Got some little spots down here, so I want those in the water. Okay. That about takes care of that study. Make this a little bit brighter in here. Okay, well, I'm just tipping some of these pieces of ice up a little bit just to show some of that action there. All right, well, that wraps us up. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. All right, bye-bye.